Hi, hello. Today we're gonna be doing the impossible task of turning this into this. And if you doubt me, may I turn your attention to that one FKA Twigs video? Because where are the thinkers?
Where are the thinkers?
I think we're all thinkers, but we're blocked by so much.
Hey guys, it's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different, but also kind of familiar. And for one, I say it's different because this is potentially a brand new series on this channel, coinciding with the normal content on this channel. And two, I say it's familiar because for those of you that have been rocking with the channel for a while, you know, we've talked about this show specifically before, and it's about TV. Now, this is not your normal TV show review. In fact, I'd say that this is less so a review and more so a critique, a commentary, if you will. And the goal and purpose of this video is to try and transform shows that we know and love to hate into cult classics. The good stuff, you know? The type of television and media that you tell your kids, your great-great-grandkids about, and the type of television that becomes legendary legacy media. The type of stuff that people want to make reboots of, spin-offs, merch and aesthetics down. And I feel like there's no better show to transform into a cult classic than Ginny and Georgia. Ginny and Georgia is just one of those shows that you either love to hate, or just hate. Because let's be real, it is one of the most serious, unserious shows to come out on Netflix in years. And with season 3 recently coming out, I am definitely filming this before the season 3. And with season 3 being upon us, I thought it'd be fitting to dissect this series and to see exactly what it is that is stopping the show from reaching cult classic TV status. Now hold on. Let me be clear. This show is still very much so iconic. Maybe not always for the best reasons, but it's given us some of the greats. With that one clip of Ginny hitting the salute before she acts like she's in a dubstep edit, like iconic. Maybe not for the best reasons, but iconic nonetheless. However, today, we're going to transform the show into something even more. For those of us that consume media at heinous, chronically online rates, and can't bring themselves to remember anything about Ginny and Georgia outside of that cringy "Happy Friday, Ginny" doggy filter, let's do the quickest of recaps. Ginny and Georgia focuses on a family that's been on the run for years, finally settling down and trying to plant roots in Wellsbury, Massachusetts, which is a notoriously wealthy area. Georgia's a single mother who had her first child, Ginny, at 15. Now, at 30, she's trying to give her children a life that she never was able to have. However, she does try and do this through very unconventional ways, like scamming, lying, extorting, like maybe unaliving a few people, marrying the mayor. Like, she gets down. Now, Ginny is now 15 years old. She's moved around a bunch in her life, which has contributed to a lot of her angst and cringitude. And she also has a few troubles of her own. Now, the whole plot or question in this show is, with all the baggage that they have going on and all the trauma, can they still have a normal life? Will their past always come back to haunt them? Spooky, I know. So now that we have a base understanding for what Ginny and Georgia is, now the thing with Ginny and Georgia, if you have not seen the show, the reason why it's not revered to be anything akin to a cult classic right now is because it has a lot of cringe factor. And I'm not sure that the first season was aware that it had such a cringe factor. The second season played more so into it, but I think the problems with Ginny and Georgia, outside of it being more of a meme, is that it tried to approach the whole Gen Z market very inauthentically, for one, and two, just not really knowing how Gen Z actually does act in any given setting. It was definitely Gen Z written by Gen X and older millennials, because like, I don't know who okayed this. But as of filming this, Ginny and Georgia is not something that has necessarily set itself up to age very well. And that is one of the cornerstones of a cult classic, is that it ages very well with time. Can constantly revisit it and be placed back exactly to that time period and feel like it is both a relic of the past, but also something that is super relevant and applicable in modern day. Ginny and Georgia is not there, but all hope is not lost. That is why we're here, to transform the show into something amazing. And luckily for us, there are some similar shows that we can draw some inspiration from. But before we do that, let's hear a quick message from this video's sponsor, Grammarly. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that works seamlessly with your everyday apps, and that helps professionals write better and faster to get their work done. Grammarly's AI features help you cut down on the back and forth of like, am I sounding professional enough? Does this make sense? Is the tone here correct? Am I concise enough? Am I taking too long to get to the point? Grammarly is truly great in those situations because it really does help with things like rewrites or tone adjustments to make sure you're coming across the way that you want. You also don't have to worry about missing your target audience when you're sending out your emails, because you definitely should not be emailing your boss the same way you do a friend or a coworker, as Grammarly AI provides personalized writing suggestions based on your audience, goals, and context. I really love using Grammarly because it ensures that I'm sending my messages the way that I intend to, in the way that I want them to come across. So if you're interested in getting started, you can sign up and download Grammarly for free. And if you truly want to level up your writing, you can go to grammarly.com/IMU or just click the link in my description to get 20% off of Pro. Thank you so much, Grammarly, for sponsoring this video. Let's actually talk about what's going on. So one of the first lines in Ginny and Georgia actually goes, "We're like the Gilmore Girls with bigger." Yeah, that's dialogue. But yeah, you know, so I guess that means the first show that we can really compare this to is Gilmore Girls. But I feel like if we're really being honest and real and raw, Ginny and Georgia would be more like Gilmore Girls if Lorelai actually unalived people, and if Stars Hollow was less whimsical and more waspy. And I'm not talking about the bug. Oh, and also if like Rory hated Lorelai for way longer. But let's actually get into some of these similarities. While Ginny and Georgia don't necessarily have the opening relationship of Rory and Lorelai, it is sort of similar to their relationship in later seasons, when Rory wants to fit in with more high society things in Hartford, similar to how Ginny wants to in Wellsbury. And also the relationship trajectory is kind of similar. Young moms with their daughters, and when the daughter grows up, there's kind of that somewhat codependent, boundaryless friendship vibe going on. Except Ginny begins questioning and getting angry with that relationship a lot sooner, and that's what we see the majority of up until the end of season 2 of Ginny and Georgia. Other similarities include Rory and Ginny both being really book smart, and they both eventually want to embrace the upper echelon lifestyle while their mothers struggle to. There's also the whole thing of like love triangles because they work. You have Ginny, Hunter, and Marcus in Ginny and Georgia, and I know before I say this, some of the Gilmore Girls stans are going to be a little mad at me for this, but for the sake of this comparison, Marcus would be Jess, the one who's bad for Ginny. Hunter would be Dean, the option with good guy syndrome. And also, side note, something that's really important is that in order to have a cult classic, you need to have a heartthrob. You need to have someone that people really yearn after and that is generally understood. And I'm just sorry, neither Marcus or Hunter is that. I think a lot of modern shows are getting good at a good heartthrob, but Ginny and Georgia, unfortunately, no. This is all to say that while Dean and Jess pissed a lot of people off sometimes, there were still characters with substance. And like they almost got there with Marcus by having an episode that was in his POV in season 2, but the writers could not make you care less about either love interest back in season 1. Cult classic comparison number 2, stay with me y'all, could potentially be the OC. Is that a reach? Is it a stretch? Perhaps. But like the idea of coming from like a Hard Knock Life-esque background and having to fit into an upper echelon society is very fitting, because this is an example of a show that does that trope pretty well. And I think Ryan in the OC was such an iconic, I came from a troubled background and have been mixed up with the wrong crowds, and I'm brooding and I'm mad at the world, which Ginny definitely plays into a lot, especially in the first season. And most importantly, both characters are good kids at the end of the day. And I'd say that's kind of where the similarities stop when it comes to where we're already at with the cult classics. Now let's sort of turn the conversation as to why specifically is Ginny and Georgia not one? And why is this show so memed on? Well, actually, this could be very subjective. In fact, I think it is subjective. That is the whole point of these sort of videos. But one can say with time, Ginny and Georgia could have the potential to become a cult classic on its own. And again, this isn't me saying the show isn't definitely interesting for sure, or saying that it's not entertaining, because it is both of those things. Like at very least, you could tell that I am a fan. Like I have made how many reviews for this show now? And how many times have Ginny and Georgia been in thumbnails in my videos? We're good. But the question is, what is it besides time that is keeping Ginny and Georgia from becoming the cult classic that we all know it needs to be? What is stopping it from becoming a beloved dramedy of the 2020s? Well, let's get into it. Number 1, this show has a terrible case of just like doing too much. Like, yes, I understand that soap operas of the early TV days were also doing the most, and it seemed like there was always a problem going on. But I think the problem here with Ginny and Georgia is that there are just too many narrative storylines going on all at once. Because why is there an underlying tension with Joe while Georgia is in a relationship with Paul while also sleeping with Zion? And all of that is before all the relationships that Ginny has going on, her friends have going on. But like, let's be so real for a second. Like, do y'all know that many attractive available men in your life? Let's be real. Like, not even just that, like that's more for the funniest. It really just seems like they're trying to tackle too many serious topics at once. Like, yes, life and people are complex and contain multitudes, but like, God, Can we let some of these characters breathe for a second? Because after a certain point, it becomes less so character development and more so just like, how many stories can we tell and represent in like a 10 episode runtime? Which leads to the inevitability of a lot of those stories not being told very well. With one of the main case studies having to do with the character Abby. I think Abby as a character definitely brings a lot, especially in comparison to the other people in Ginny's friend group, but we'll get into that later. She starts off with the serious kind of mean girl humor, which low-key kind of makes you side-eye her. But throughout the season, you learn more and more about her, like the fact that both her parents are therapists and then they get a divorce, which, by the way, none of Abby's friends give a wild, but you don't get much else out of her besides like some reactionary behaviors, all without a ton of explanation or explicit care being driven towards them. Like you see her crying in her room while her parents fight, taping her legs, Preston repeatedly humiliating her, and other scenes of her ED. They try and tackle so much with this one character, but still somehow barely scratch the surface in 2 seasons. I'm hoping season 3 gives us a little bit more, but like, yeah, we're really going to need some development for a season 3. And also to an even smaller extent, towards the end of season 2, Abby realizes that Samantha is also struggling with an ED. But the problem with that is that it kind of seems like forced at the end of the season because the writers had not given Samantha actually any substance as a character up until then, besides the fact that she's annoying. And I want to contextualize this by saying like, yes, many people do struggle with this and many people do keep it secret, but to do and to cover these topics that are so heavy, so seemingly last minute, and then to also not really do anything with that storyline up until, I'm hoping they're covering it more in the 3rd season, but up until the 3rd season, feels like a lot to push on a previously not fleshed out character. So I'd say the overall change to not doing too much is to pick a storyline, pick a direction and a theme, and like stick to that. Like don't try and branch. Like I get the sake of having a dynamic story, but like by trying to tell too many stories, you're not telling any of them very effectively. So we really need to hone in on the stories so people know exactly what to remember when we're looking back on a show like this to make it a cult classic. Because if there's too many aspects, too many plot lines, and too many things going on, you're not gonna really remember what was this show actually about? And that kind of leads me to my next point that like Ginny and Georgia has too many characters, but not enough personalities. Like when you think of classic shows, like really cult classic TV shows that last throughout time, main characters, secondary characters, even tertiary characters have distinct personality traits. Like to reference back to Gilmore Girls, the ever many colorful people in their neighborhood. Even the dance teacher of the neighborhood, Miss Patty, is such a character. And having that makes characters who do appear in the show feel more fleshed out. And not so much like filler characters just taking up space. Like Nora. Nora. I want to love her so bad, but like they don't give her anything to go off of. Like all she has is a boom bang and a dream, yet she's a series regular. Like she has been in the show every single season, but I don't know 5 things about her. We don't know anything about her, for real. And like when you think of the true classics, each character that's a series regular seems to have some personality or some personality trait, but in season 1 at least, Nora just kind of serves as like a filler and as a vessel to the dead end plot point of Georgia having pew-pews in her house as a smear campaign. Like what do we know about her besides that boom bang and the fact that she has a boyfriend who also we know nothing about? Like all we get in season 2 is more facial expressions and the fact that it's hinting towards her not being super happy with Jordan. But that's also all subtext. Like we're not getting anything from her yet, her being a main character. Like right now, her character is the definition of go girl, give us nothing. And I'm so sorry to say that. Like there's so much they could have done with her character in the past 2 seasons. And it's so sad, especially considering the fact that she's one of the few people of color with a show that centers around race being one of the main themes. Like she's an adopted BIPOC person with rich white parents. Like there is so much you can tell here. Yet we get nothing. But it's not just her. You have characters like Preston. They only address why they're friends with him once. And that's it. Like why is he in the friend group? They give him 0 redeeming qualities for why he's even there. And the only time he's on screen is to be an a-hole. So in your head, you're like, okay, yeah, Abby is self-sabotaging by sleeping with him. And like, okay, but I feel like there's other ways to drive that point home besides just using one note character as a means of a plot device. You know, he has no story, no arc, no real relevance. Like he's just bad vibes and like literally just a jumping off point for other characters' development. Then you have someone like Brody. Like besides them using his basement and the fact that Hunter said that he can twerk better than Ginny, what do we really know about him? That he's a frat bro? Okay. Like there are just so many people in this friend group that appear so often for them to give us so little. Like all of the boys in the show besides Marcus and Hunter aren't distinct enough or have any real character motivations despite them being in almost every single episode. And then it's not just the boys because you have a character like Samantha. Like first and foremost, girl, who even is that? Like there's been no underlying friendship factor with literally anyone in the group. Yet she's still there. Like, is she there just to push the narrative along? I guess, again, we'll see in season 3 if she has a bigger impact. But like, why is she still there? with nothing to prove or show for it. So again, the main point here, like if you're going to include characters and have characters in there, like actually flesh them out and give them personality traits, give them motivations, and give them things to root for so that they can become iconic characters that stand out and stand the test of time in a cult classic. Like I'm sure when I went through the names of these characters, if I did not insert a little screenshot or a clip of what these characters look like, you did not remember who they were. Like you could not distinguish them from a lineup. And that's the problem. These are all main characters, recurring cast, people that show up in every single episode, if not almost every single episode, and not memorable. Next thing I would say to make this a cult classic, and this may seem controversial, and this may actually contradict some of my points later on, but bear with me. A lot of people may think, I'd say in order to make this a cult classic, we need to get rid of the cringe. But I'd actually say keep the cringe. Keep it in. I know a lot of people are like pro cringe erasure. But again, hear me out. I don't think the cringe itself is what makes Ginny and Georgia so bad. In fact, I think that is one of the redeeming qualities of the show. I think the ways that it goes about cringe sometimes are over the top and transcend the levels of camp that make a cult classic. And that's where we kind of get into murky territory. But I think a self-aware show that is cringy and knows that it's cringy and continues to be cringy within bounds is exactly what is needed to make a cult classic, you know? Like I think a little bit of cringe is quintessential and they lend themselves into camp territory. Like I referenced it before, but like the Ginny like, and then walking away to dubstep, again, we're gonna talk about that later. Cringy, yet camp. Now with that said, remove Hunter Chen immediately. Hunter spent their entire relationship engagement farming for cringe viral videos. Like I am so pro embracing the cringe, except for that man, except for Hunter Chen. I am so sorry. Like the levels to which you have to suspend your disbelief. Because for some reason in the Ginny and Georgia cinematic universe, Hunter behaves the way that he does and is seen as hot, cool, and sexy. Huh? Like I'm sorry, and this might be a hot take, but like Hunter Chen, especially in season 1, is actually just cosplaying Elon Musk. Like the way, like the hey Ginny, like the happy Friday Ginny, like the tap dancing, like Hunter. Like I can excuse the cringy cliche, like mangness of it all because that is what high schoolers do. Like high schoolers name their friend groups all the time. Like that's a thing. But what they don't do and what they shouldn't do is a public high school birthday surprise tap dance flash mob. Like there are just levels to it. There are levels to the cringe. And again, like I said, really embrace the cringe within limits. This is way exceeding those limits and just pushing it to trashy TV. I'm sorry. And like what's really gaggy about it is that like from that point onwards, whenever someone brings it up, they bring it up as like this really giant, really cute romantic gesture. Like not one single person cringes at it. And that is the craziest part to me. Like we truly have not been freed from cringe yet. Like Hunter Chen, you will pay for your crimes. And it's not just the cringe factor. It's like he embodies the like nice guy first boyfriend trope of it all. And in none of the great ways. Like I think there are amazing ways to write that trope. He is just not that. Like he is just a constant ick. He's like always so, ooh, you know? And defeated the purpose of a love triangle because it made the decision a little easier, you know? Like in classic TV shows, we get the good guy and then the brooding angsty type. Like The Summer I Turned Pretty is like a show that is very comparable to Ginny and Georgia that has more of a potential to become a cult classic because it does some of these things better. Although that might be one of the ones that we try and make more so of a cult classic in a future video. But the whole point of Love Triangle is to feel conflicted. And when it came between Marcus and Hunter, those weren't the emotions that I felt. Like it was hard to feel empathetic towards him, to have him be a compelling character, a compelling option for Ginny. Like, yes, it's terrible that he got cheated on, but that whole scene with the oppression Olympics, that will go down in history. That will go down in history in none of the right ways. And because he's written in this way, I think it takes away from the conflicted feelings that love triangles are supposed to invoke. This isn't to say that he didn't have any redeeming qualities, by the way, but his actions and the way that he was written took more precedent. Like I know his character is really meant to point out like how like the nice guy, good guy boyfriend is oftentimes very selfish and like ultimately looking out for himself and not so much his girlfriend, because you know Hunter's whole thing is like he says he does all these things for Ginny, but they're very public facing, very grandiose, and ultimately for his followers. Like didn't he make a song about Ginny afterwards? Like where are the real lovers at? Like Dean built Rory a car in Gilmore Girls, and no happy birthday Snapchat is going to supersede that. But I will say shout out to the actor. None of this is a slight to any of the actors. They gave it their all with what they were given. I just think it's also kind of funny. I don't know if y'all knew this, but like the actor for Hunter has done like over 1,000 like the Happy Friday videos on Cameo for people. So like if you want to get some, you should definitely go check that out. Like he's getting a bag and I love that for him. And the last more structural change to make Ginny and Georgia a cult classic has to do with the tone and aesthetics of the show. Because like I don't know if I'm tripping, but like the vibes of the show are really oddly like 2016 coded. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily the intention because the show came out after that. But like it's a mix of like the heavy use of Snapchat plus like the 2016 makeup of it all, plus like the dubstep. We're gonna get back to that. But the dubstep, the matching streaks of hair to like bumped ass hairstyle that Ginny had going on during like the Happy Birthday to You episode. Like it really just seems that the writers were confused for what a then 2021 teenager would be like. Like when we think back to the classic TV shows, like for example, we keep bringing it up, but like Gilmore Girls, it has a very distinct visual appeal to it. Like something to really reference back to. You can actually find people who look to dress more like the characters, or have an admiration for the aesthetic. Like there's like a whole Gilmore Girls aesthetic, a whole Gilmore Girls core. Like open up your phone and look up Lorelai outfits on TikTok. Like that's a whole niche. And same thing with other cult classics like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and many, many more. Not saying that all shows have to do this and have to be like that form of like marketable and brandable, but I do think that having distinct styles on characters or on the clothes that are being used is important and was definitely a missed opportunity here. However, I do want to say they do be using wardrobe in Ginny and Georgia. Like when Ginny is feeling more rebellious and like edgy, she wears like grungier colors and flannels. But if we want the show to reach a true classic status, I feel like the wardrobe should have stayed away from the Shein catalog entirely or dove headfirst into the Shein catalog because that was very 2021, but subvert it and make it something that's cool and unique and something that we can really aspire to and haven't necessarily seen a lot of. Like, of course, is what we're seeing high schools wear in 2021. Well, let's do exactly that. It's even better to elevate that and give us something new with what we already have. Like we saw that most prominently, most recently with Euphoria. Euphoria, especially season 1, but even season 2, is a show that takes place in modern day, in modern clothes of the time, but created a whole moment and an aesthetic because it not only subverted, but elevated a sense of style and branding that could be directly tied to Euphoria that people want to and still do emulate to this day. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just add some mods to it. Those are all the more serious changes, critiques of the show that could push it more to that cult classic status. I do have a couple that are a little bit more unserious that I think would be more of just like roomy must-haves. This one goes more closely with what we were talking about before, but like make the show a sign of the times. Make it a sign of the times. Cult classics are either timeless or great time capsules for when they were released or the stories that they're trying to tell. Ginny and Georgia right now is neither, because truly what era is Ginny and Georgia meant to be in? Because it's giving the early 2000s stuck in the 90s, and here's why. Phone usage. The phone usage. The phone usage is the prominent driver of the cringe and one of the main aspects that is wrong with this show. Like, oh my God, who uses phones like that and why do the phones look like that? Like, I get it. Technology has changed since the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So phones must be a part of the reality and must be part of the script, but there is a way to do it tastefully and tactfully and but I've yet to see shows that actually do it well. I mean, aside from like Pretty Little Liars, and that was just camp. Like, come on, look at this. Look at this. Like the amount of selfies sent, Snapchat dog filters on in Ginny and Georgia is simply egregious. Like this is not, like again, the show is set in 2021, but it looks like 2016. What's it supposed to be? And I still refuse to believe that those Snapchats from Hunter were anything but a threat. Ginny, that was not sweet. That was a threat to your life. Happy Friday, Ginny, to me read like this is going to be the last Friday of your life. Be prepared. And then I've been referencing this the entire time, but like the dubstep. Can we have a moment? I'm sorry. Can we have a moment to talk about the dubstep? The dubstep? The dubstep. The dubstep. You heard me. Do I need to say it again? The dubstep. In 2021, we're including dubstep. And I understand Netflix music. Netflix music budget is not usually tea. Although I will say, with Forever, the new show, Forever, the budget was there. But dubstep for real? And like the problem with it is that it's never in the places that it needs to be. Not that dubstep needs to be anywhere, but like it's always in places where it does not need to be. Because why was there dubstep? Why was dubstep the choice when Ginny's walking away from doing the absolute least to Hunter and his then girl? We couldn't have done like a City Girls. Honestly, I would have preferred her walk away to Work by Iggy Azalea than whatever song they put behind that. And like the dubstep that she did when she was making the smoothie, like this is not hard. This is not a baller. Like this is cringy and not in the good way. This is dating the show. This is not adding to the effect. This is not doing anything of the such or of this sort or of the variety. Like please, like it is not uncommon for film and TV to use music as like a cue for audiences about how they should feel about a certain scene or storyline. But Ginny and Georgia really does just try and force feed it to you in a way that just is not authentic or good. Like it really is given like, hey, dum-dum, I know you're not smart enough to clock what's going on here, so let me force feed this to you in the easiest way possible so you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, relax, that's aggressive. Like that's truly what it feels when you try and put like the most intense, badass dubstep in slow-mo. Don't even get me started on the slow-mo of Ginny putting a blue smoothie in front of Georgia's man and then giving an immediate flashback when Georgia poisoned her ex-boyfriend or husband or whatever with a milkshake of a similar variety. Like we get it, Ginny is trying to scare Georgia and put her in her place, but like there are other ways to do this besides like intense dubstep. Like we don't need that. Like what time period is this? Again, but like one thing I will give them, the one thing that ate real bad was the song choice of the last song in season 2. It fit perfectly and was one of the only times that I feel like we could all agree that that was the right song for the moment and was not super aggressive. Now, if Ginny and Georgia implements all these Imurgency approved changes, will it become a cult classic? I think maybe, or maybe not, I don't know. But I do think it'd take the show to a different place to age better and to push it towards that cult classic status. Again, do I 100% know what I'm talking about? No. Do I 75% know what I'm talking about? No, but it's entertainment nonetheless, and I feel like I'm not the only one that feels this way. But regardless, I'm excited to see how this new season handles the show, and whether or not it's going to do the work enough to cement Ginny and Georgia as a cult classic, or not. But yeah, love the show. But that's going to be it for this video, y'all. Let me know what you think of this sort of content in this new series. I know it's both not like solely show review, nor is it the intense like social or just general commentary that I know a lot of y'all have grown used to over the course of this channel. But yeah, I figured it'd be fun to introduce a new series that's sort of a combination of the two, and a little bit lighter and a little bit more fun. Again, the other stuff is not going away. It's just a different content vertical to give y'all that also can come out more often because it doesn't require as much research or as heavy lifting emotionally, physically, or mentally. Because yeah, let me know what you think about this series, this show. All of your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'd love to interact with y'all down there. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, then definitely subscribe. We're very close to 300K and I love to hit it in Pride Month because, I mean, look at me. Make sure to follow me on my socials at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And check me out on Spotify if that's more of your speed because we post all these and more over there. Thanks again so much Grammarly for sponsoring this video. Make sure to click the link in my description to get started with that. But other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency and I will see you in the next video. Peace.